Do you want to live in the suburbs? Tired of the city? Tired of living on a farm? Move out to the suburbs. Most Americans live in or want to live in the suburbs these days. On this channel, we spend much of our time focusing on small towns, rural towns, and cities, but we really don't focus too much on the suburbs. The suburbs are a relatively new settlement concept here in the United States. Villages have been around since we moved out of caves. Towns have been around since we started trading goods and services. And cities showed up when people decided they'd like to live on top of each other. The suburbs really didn't make an appearance here in the United States until after World War II, when more and more people got sick of living on top of each other and hearing their upstairs neighbors argue over Salisbury steak. They wanted to move out of the city, but they didn't want to move into the farmlands and woods. There's a really interesting story about the history of suburbs that I'm working on a video essay about. When that comes out, I'll explain the whole thing. But today, we're just talking about the best suburbs in the Midwest. If this video does well and it gets enough views, we'll do the other regions here in the United States. But right now, we're just looking at the suburbs of the Midwest and which ones have the best stats. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Olathe, Kansas. Olathe, Kansas is like a comfy pair of shoes you can't live without. It's nestled in the heart of Johnson County, and it's a city that manages to strike a perfect balance between small town charm and big city amenities. You've got all the conveniences of Kansas City just a stone's throw away, which that's not great, but Olathe itself is a gem. The community here is warm and welcoming, and it's the kind of place where you could still leave your doors unlocked and your dog unneutered. There are two things you can count on in Olathe. One is great barbecue, and two is a solid craft beer scene. So if you're looking for a laid-back, friendly community with a dash of Midwestern charm, Olathe, Kansas might be your happy place. Let's look at the two stats we've included with this one. We're average home value, and we're looking at quality of life score. When it comes to quality of life score, anything above 70 is considered decent. Anything that's above 79 is outstanding. The best I've ever seen was 96. And that score takes everything into account, like the crime rate, the schools, the number of parks, commute time. It just considers everything and gives it a score. Olathe, Kansas has a quality of life score of 80. If you want to buy a house here, the average home value goes for about $382,000. That might seem like a lot to some people, but this is a decent place to live, and it's under $400,000. That's not bad. The national average for home value right now is $348,000. That's second quarter 2023. Number 9, Waukesha, Wisconsin. Waukesha, Wisconsin is one of those places that's got a little something for everyone. Sitting in the heart of Waukesha County, this charming city is like a treasure in the Milwaukee metro area. Yeah, Milwaukee's a little bit of a nightmare, but it has some pretty cool suburbs. Waukesha is one of them. This is the type of place where you could take a leisurely walk downtown and not have to worry about anything. Their crime rate is actually 60% lower than the national average. Like a lot of the places in Wisconsin, it's got some pretty cool architecture, sitting along the Fox River, which flows right through town. You've got like the classic brick buildings, cute boutiques, and more than enough restaurants and pubs. Now, Waukesha's not just their whole downtown. The city is surrounded by beautiful parks and lakes, making it a nature lover's paradise. They got hiking, biking, or just hanging out by the Fox River. Waukesha is west of downtown Milwaukee, and it's just about where the farmland starts. Now, one thing I will tell you, they've got a lot of new construction in this area, so I don't know how much longer that farmland's gonna last to your west, but if you move here, it's really not that crowded. It's nice. Waukesha is not one of those places that's on everyone's radar, but if you visit it, you kind of wonder why it's not. They have a quality of life score of 81, and if you're looking to buy a home in this area, their average home value is about $330,000. Number 8, Del Rapids, South Dakota. Del Rapids, South Dakota is a charming little town that's got a classic Midwestern feel. It's like Cheers, everybody knows your name. Del Rapids is kind of not a suburb. It's a little too far out of town, but I decided to add it anyway because anyone in Del Rapids, if they need anything, they're just going to drive the 25 minutes down to Sioux Falls. And really, the cities are so small in South Dakota and North Dakota that they really don't have many suburbs. They're lucky enough to have enough land, they don't have to build right on top of each other. They got this cool little downtown area, Main Street, which is doing better than a lot of the other main streets I see doing these videos. There are so many places in Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, where you look down these main streets and every other storefront is empty, like they can't get anyone to rent there. There's not a lot of that going on in Del Rapids. They do have a few empty places, but it's not a ghost town like so many other main streets. If you want to move to Del Rapids, South Dakota, their quality of life score is 81, and their average home value is $342,000. Number 7, Naperville, Illinois. Naperville, Illinois is a suburban oasis just west of Chicago. It's got this charming, friendly vibe that makes you feel right at home, even if you're just passing through. I've passed through here several times. Always stop to get pizza. The downtown area is like a picture-perfect postcard with tree-lined streets, cute boutiques, and fantastic restaurants. And yes, you could get some seriously good Chicago-style pizza here. What I like about Naperville, it seems like the town really focuses on keeping a lot of green spaces available. Parks, the Riverwalk is a prime example of this, a beautiful linear park that winds along the DuPage River. Side note, one time I was sitting next to someone, they called it the DuPage River. I think they were from out of town. This is in a restaurant. The guy with them goes, "It's just the DuPage River. Don't try and French it up." Anyway, the DuPage River is pretty nice. I watched a lot of fishing videos of people doing fly fishing right there in Naperville. That is always an added bonus to any town or city. When they have a river that still has like fish that you could pull out of, that's a good thing. I grew up in the Los Angeles area. The LA River is cement, and there's nothing living in there, except for bacteria maybe. I like Naperville. It's a pretty cool place. Been there a few times. Haven't really spent more than like a day there ever, but it's a really nice place. They have a quality of life score of 84, and if you want to buy a home here, their average home value is $529,000. Little pricey, but I think it's worth it. Number 6, Noblesville, Indiana. Noblesville, Indiana is like a cozy, tucked away gem you stumble upon when you're out exploring the Midwest. It's got a perfect mix of small town charm and suburban convenience. It's definitely a good place to, it's a nice place to live and maybe raise a family. Even though it's in the Indianapolis metro area, it's just north of downtown. Well, it's got a couple places like Fisher's between it, but it's on the north side of the metro area. And statistically speaking, the only thing that doesn't get an A grade or A plus is their commute. The traffic's a little rough in Indianapolis sometimes. That's about it. But cost of living, A. Crime, A plus. Employment, A plus. Healthcare scores, which means the hospitals and stuff, A plus. Housing, A plus. Schools, I guess schools got a B plus. Overall, they got an A plus. So like I said, great place to live and probably raise a family. In Noblesville, you'll find quaint streets lined with historic buildings, friendly folks who wave and say hello as you pass by. They have a real sense of community pride here. And don't forget Forest Park. This is the heart of Noblesville where you can just hang out by the White River, play around a golf, catch summer concerts under the stars. The American dream. Here's what a lot of people don't know unless you're kind of in that scene. They have a growing tech scene in Noblesville. They have a decent job market, and like I said earlier, their schools are pretty good. I know it's number 6 on this list, but I think it's, out of all of them, my personal opinion, I think it's maybe number 2 or 3. But we're going by the quality of life score. And their quality of life score in Noblesville is 85. If you want to buy a home here, the average home value is $357,000. Number 5, Waverly, Nebraska. Waverly, Nebraska is a charming little town that's got that small town charm, but not too far away from the city. It sits in the heart of the Cornhusker State, and it's a type of town where everyone gets involved in community events. Whether it's a summer barbecue, a high school football game, or a good old-fashioned county fair, the people of this community will come out. Now, it is northeast of downtown Lincoln, Nebraska, and it is southwest of the Platte River. The Platte River's not too far away, and that's great during the summer. During the winter, you got to worry about flooding or freezing. Honestly, I don't think people understand how cold the Midwest can get during winter. I mean, everyone thinks about Minnesota, maybe North Dakota, Michigan, Wisconsin. Those are the cold places. No, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, they get frozen. But there's a trade-off, especially in places like Waverly, Nebraska. It's affordable, it's nice, they have next to no crime. You just got to deal with some pretty cold winters occasionally. If you want to retire and do some fishing, this is a pretty good spot. Waverly, Nebraska has a quality of life score of 86, and their average home value is $324,000. Number 4, Coralville, Iowa. Now, I've never been to Coralville, so I had this suspicion that they pronounce it differently than how it looks, which is Coralville. And it seems like the locals drop the L and call it Coralville. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section below if you know anything about this place. Now, what I know about this place is their stats are outstanding. Coralville or Coralville is one of those Iowa towns that just looks nice and charming. And their stats, like I said, are outstanding, so you know it's just a decent place to live. Now, whenever I say I haven't been someplace, you're going to have someone that's going to pop up with their opinion. Oh, the stats don't tell the whole story. They're horrible people. They're just mean. They don't like outsiders. And then you look at their YouTube page name and it's like Prince of Darkness 98. I just want to tell them, hey, listen, Emo Frank, maybe don't go to the local park and start playing Cradle of Filth and dancing by yourself every Sunday. Yes, that was an IT crowd reference in case you didn't know. But Coralville is a great place to live. You got the Coralville Lake right at your doorstep, which gives you everything from fishing, hiking, picnicking, and you also got the Iowa River. Coralville is in the Iowa City metro area, just north of downtown. Well, northwest. And it's also just south of Cedar Rapids. If you wanted to move to Coralville, you're looking at a quality of life score of 87, and their average home value, $237,000. Nice and cheap. Number 3, Champlain, Minnesota. Champlain, Minnesota is like a friendly neighborhood you can always count on for a chat and a good time. Tucked away in the northern suburbs of the Twin Cities, Champlain has a charming small town vibe that'll make you feel right at home. It's a very friendly place. I've been to this one before. I've only been there in the summer, twice. One time I kind of drove through, the other time I actually went there. But the summers are nice. My understanding is the winter is brutal. It is Minnesota, so that should be expected. But this is a beautiful town with plenty of really cool parks like Mississippi River Point Park, which isn't the beginning of the Mississippi River. That's about a 4-hour drive north from this place. This is another typical Midwestern town where they have plenty of like events that are going on, like summer concerts at the amphitheater and winter wonderland celebrations, things of that nature. You got the river right there. You got great stats. It's semi-affordable. You could do so much worse than Champlain, Minnesota. Again, if you don't mind some pretty cold winters, this might be worth giving a look. Champlain has a quality of life score of 88, and their average home value is $353,000. Number 2, Solon, Ohio. Solon, Ohio is in the Cleveland metro area, and I know most people are going to think, how could it be nice if it's in the Cleveland metro area? Cleveland's actually got a few really nice areas. But Solon is one of those charming suburban gems nestled in the heart of the Buckeye State. If you're a fan of friendly neighbors, top-notch schools, and kind of a laid-back lifestyle, Solon's probably your type of place. Just like most of Ohio, they have a lot of parks and things of that nature in town. And even though it's in Cleveland or in the Cleveland metro area, they've got a lot of trees like on the streets and little forested areas. I think most people think since it's near Cleveland, they're going to have this image of a place that's just buildings and cement and stuff like that. No, this one's very much like little city in the trees. Solon, Ohio has a quality of life score of 89. That is outstanding, especially for being in the Cleveland metro area. The average home value here is $399,000, so just under $400,000, and it is an excellent place to live. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to one of these cities or any city in the United States, there's a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Clawson, Michigan. I know what you're saying Clawson, Michigan? Where's that? Well, it is north of Detroit, kind of in between Detroit and Pontiac. And it is a city that's in Oakland County. And they have a population of almost 12,000 residents. And this is truly a suburb, is surrounded by other cities in a metro area. With tree-lined streets and cozy neighborhoods, it feels like a small town right in the midst of a bustling city. You can't help but love the sense of community in little places like that. If you're from the West Coast, you probably don't get how communities are in the Midwest. They're a lot different. I grew up on the West Coast, lived most of my life on the West Coast, been in the Midwest for the military, things of that nature, and it's just different. Community and just being friendly to your neighbors, it's a thing there. Even though Michigan has Detroit and Flint, Not all Michigan is Detroit and Flint. Clawson is a perfect example. If you want to move to Clawson, Michigan, you should. It has a quality of life score of 92. I know a lot of you are going, how is it such a nice place? It's too close to Detroit. Their crime rate in Clawson is 82% below the national average. Detroit's is about 420% above the national average. When your crime rate is that low, it tells you two things, especially when you're that close to a nightmare city. They've got good police and decent people living here. But yeah, like I said, the quality of life score here is 92. And if you want to buy a home, you should. The average home value is $263,000. All right, that's today's video. If you want to see more videos in this series, let me know in the comment section below which region should we do next. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.